forgot to record the video. Didn't write a script. It's okay. I started researching this afternoon. I wrote sufficient notes. So, string theory. I never understood it. I read a book about it. Never could fully grasp what it actually is. String theory is fancy physics. It is supposed to be a theory that unifies everything, ties everything together, gets everything working together, electromagnetism, gravity, all of the forces, and what they do and how they interact and what exactly they are. All right, okay, I've got a whiteboard. I can remember this, right? I can remember the things on my calendar. I can just kind of, okay. Before this, there was what was called quantum field theory. The problem was when they tried to add gravity to quantum field theory, it got all messed up. The equations that explained gravity in quantum field theory, when the particles got small enough, everything would result in black holes, no matter what you did. And so that was a problem. So smart people thought, what if instead of a point we have a string, because we're just going to add another dimension. So we're going into the first dimension. We have an infinitely small string that vibrates, and basically the frequency at which it vibrates indicates the particle that it is. So there's a lot of particles. Okay, so we got up quarks, charm quarks, top quarks, down quarks, strange quarks, bottom quarks, gluons, protons, Z bosons, W bosons, Higgs bosons, electrons, what are they called? Electron neutrinos, 1s, 2, and 3s, which are classified as leptons. Okay, so we're going to be explaining what is called superstring theory. All right, says that there. You can't read it. So I think I actually need that. Essentially, there were two iterations of string theory. One that didn't work. They tweaked it and they worked with it, and it just kind of fell apart. But then they decided to take the existing formula for string theory, essentially, and add electromagnetism to it. And when he did that, everything just kind of fit together. Everything worked. When that happened, that kind of ignited interest in string theory again. The only way that they could get string theory to work was in 10 dimensions, 9 spatial dimensions, and 1 time dimension. So what this would mean is it doesn't quite work in our universe. They're trying to come up with ways of how it could work in our universe. What they're saying is there are extra dimensions that exist on an extremely small scale, so small that we can't even interact with it. I'm going to be using the calendar grid as space-time. So basically, each and every one of these is bundled up space-time. These are the dimensions that they interact with. So essentially, what they're saying is that inside of quarks, or inside of bosons or gluons or anything like that, there are these one-dimensional strings that vibrate at certain frequencies. And these frequencies essentially give particles the properties of what they are. Prior to string theory, when we were working with quantum field theory, we were working with just particles. And gravity couldn't really, or the particles couldn't really explain how gravity worked, because the gravity basically relies on the warping of space-time. And when you're constructing space-time by modeling them as like particles, there's no room to like warp anything. You can't really manipulate a single infinitely small point. There, you can't change that, you can't warp that. So when they tried to like put it into equations, they're all wonky. They would always end up like going under the Schwarzschild radius and turning into black holes, and that does not work. What we could do is have a series, or model space-time as a series of strings, essentially. The problem with string theory and quantum field theory is that you can't prove them, because the things that we are talking about cannot be observed, because light does not interact with it. We cannot see it. It's too small for us to observe. Even if we have the most powerful microscope, light doesn't interact with these strings. And we have like a vague idea, because we can use sort of like particles to sort of kind of interact with these kind of things, but it's extremely vague, because by using these particles to interact with things this small, it affects, it completely disrupts what we're trying to observe, and we can't get anything that's like actually accurate. We're like, we know which equations do what, we know what to do if we want to find the electromagnetism of a given particle or whatever. We understand how to find that, but we don't know why that is. And that's what we're trying to find. So we're trying to find a single unifying theory that connects everything together. If we find that, then we basically we've solved the secrets of the universe. Do theoretical physicists make money? God, this is gonna be more editing than I thought it would be. It's 3 a.m. This is due in 12 hours. I have class. I have an AP test. I have shit to do tomorrow. Okay, so the thing that makes string theory work is called gauge symmetry. Essentially what that means is string theory kind of breaks down, doesn't work, unless you add electromagnetism. That's essentially it. There's also real symmetry, which lets us write quantum wave equations for strings, and it only works in the second dimension. Don't even get me started on anti-quarks. It's really weird. There's top quarks and bottom quarks and up quarks and down quark. Am I crazy? Yeah, there's top and bottom and up and down. I don't know the difference between those. I didn't look it up. And I won't. The explanation for the strings and how they don't really interact with us is that the strings exist in 6 additional compact dimensions that are just kind of like around us that we don't interact with. Listen, it's not that this is boring. It's not that this is boring. I love doing this. I love researching this. I love reading up on things like this. It's like mostly like what I do in my free time. I love doing this kind of thing, but it's so much more satisfying when we know that we're right. The main takeaway is that I don't know. If it's any consolation, nobody else does either. I feel like this is a level of knowledge that humans are not supposed to be able to comprehend. The fact that we are not able to venture outside of our third dimension says to me that we are not meant to experience or know about any other dimensions. And even if the math does work out, I don't think we'll ever have the capability to experience them. All right, that's enough.
This couldn't happen again. This is that one